Oh, it's liquid rock.
Okay, it's good enough.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to settle for good enough when you just can't do it the way it's supposed to be done. All right, let's start.
Hey, welcome to another exciting edition of Torah Talk. I'm Luke Ford, aka Levi Ben Abraham, with Rabbi Rabs. Why don't you come back
Hello.
about 4 inches and maybe towards me, back and.
Okay.
And the rabbi's parents are convinced he's gay.
We did that show 2 weeks ago.
I don't think we can ever do it too much.
We just did that. We did that 2 weeks ago. We're not doing that again.
You know how I know you're gay?
Oh, now we're gonna do the what's that movie called again? 40-Year-Old Virgin. Yeah. How do we know?
Because you've got a girlfriend and you don't even touch her. You know, what kind of guys have a girlfriend and they don't even touch her?
That must
gay
prove
guys.
it. That's it. So every Jewish guy who's dating is gay, right?
Oh no, most Jewish guys are touching their girlfriends like there's no tomorrow.
Well, most Torah Jews are in that fact gay because they do Shomer Negiah, they don't touch women or they don't touch opposite
There's
sex.
something called Shomer Negiah publicly, but privately they're popping it in every orifice.
Oh, I see. So Shomer Negiah is just out in public, but behind closed doors nobody actually keeps that.
No, some do, like the truly pious.
Okay.
Like if you keep Shomer Negiah behind closed doors, you're either truly pious or you're gay.
That's the world according to Levi.
Yeah, so I'm curious, is the primary reason you don't touch your girlfriend because God said not to, or because you're gay?
It's because I'm Shomer HaBrit.
And if people
That's
are
an
wondering what
inside joke.
Shomer
That's an inside
HaBrit
joke.
is, it's an obsession of our young student Justin, who's been obsessing with Shomer HaBrit. Now, nobody uses that term in Jewish life except for the Bretzlav Hasidim.
That's correct.
So, hey, Vezmir.
That's an inside joke to one of our viewers. His name's Justin.
Yeah, and he's a big proponent of not masturbating. Shomer HaBrit means not masturbating in Bretzlav.
He's a huge Breslov fan, and also a huge fan of Chabad.
Really?
Yeah, he dances at 2 weddings at the same time.
Huh.
Because you can never be sure which one's got the right
Right.
hat, so you got to throw yourself into both. You know, even though that the two contradict each other, but that's not a problem.
So you blew me away the other day.
I did?
Yeah, I was like emailing with you, and you said, "Well, I got a very busy week." I mean, you thought, "What the hell? How does Rabbi Rabs have a very busy week? He doesn't have a job."
Why doesn't that? Why are those two hystera?
They're not, but it was just like I actually emailed you back. Like I almost never email you and ask you a personal.
Yeah, and then you started with the personal question. So what are you doing? Why are you so busy?
I was like,
yeah. Who the hell is this guy? My mother? What the hell is he? My mother?
That may be the first time in a year that I've asked you a personal question via email.
Well, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was like, well, what? None of your fucking business. That's what I'm doing. Like, what kind of personal? What was that about? I was like, what do you know of it?
I figure I'm allowed to ask you one personal question a year, like via email. Like I normally never make any inquiries into your life via email. I never hey, how you doing, Ravs? Or did you catch, that show last night? I just I leave you alone. But you wrote back something about being very busy, 1 week. And I was like, what does that look like for Ravs? What's going on here? Did he find this new YouTube channel? And it's nothing else. I don't have time for anything else. There are all these great YouTube comedy bits, and I've just got to catch them this week. No.
Wait a second. This was 2 weeks ago, or was this last week?
It was a couple of weeks ago.
Was it a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
I can't even keep it all straight.
Yeah, well, you said you weren't going to have any highlights. We had a good show 2 weeks ago, but you said you weren't going to make any highlights.
Oh, that's what it was.
Because you were so busy. And I was like...
Yeah. You know what happened?
Yeah.
Okay, I had all the family coming over.
Okay.
All the family was over, right?
Okay.
Archie Bunker, no. Everybody in my family showed up, at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was President's Day weekend.
Yeah.
And they were all here. Normally I have nephews show up, but they show up different parts of the year or whatever. But it was a big tumult because everybody showed up and they all brought their women.
Yeah.
And it was a huge, whatever. And so I cleared out my schedule for them all.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
I cleared out my schedule for them all, right? So I only had time for them, which was fine. Okay, so that was like they were in all like the time I took to prepare for them, and I had to clean up the house and have it spotless and everything like that, and and so there was that, and then after they left, like cleaned up and everything and whatever, and then so like all the appointments that I had in my life, I put off so that nothing was planned for those 2 weeks. The week that they were coming, and I had to clean and everything and get ready, and then the time that they were here, I put away all the stuff I would normally do and all these appointments I wanted to see. So I moved everything into the week that after they left.
Right.
So it was 1 week like preparing. I cleared my schedules for them to be for preparing. 1 week while they're there, and then all the things I would do during those 2 weeks, I moved it to the third week. And you said like, "Hey, do you want to make highlights this week?" I'm like, "Dude, I just made like a zillion appointments for this week, so I don't have time for any of that." And that would include like doctors and taking care of my car, and what was the other thing I had to do, and like fixing my surfboard and stuff. So every single day I was doing stuff that I would have done, which I would have split up over the last couple of weeks. I moved it all into 1 week, and I just didn't have time to deal with making highlights, and also like the week before I'd spent all my time with all these guys. So like my own girlfriend, I didn't have any time to talk to her. So she was going to want to take up a lot of time that following week, because she hadn't talked to me.
How much time do you spend on average talking to your girlfriend?
Oh. A lot. Because there's Skype and it's free, right?
Right.
So we talk, a couple hours every day.
So what do you do when, like, on an ordinary day when you don't have...
Malachi's in the room. Hey, Malachi.
What do you do on an ordinary day?
Oh, and Faith is in the room. Hey, Faith. Hey, what do I do on a normal day?
Yeah, ordinary
First,
day.
you reveal your cards.
Oh, okay, so I'm up at 5:47. That's when the alarm goes off.
They say I'm OCD. No, why can't you just say I'm up, before 6? Or, no, I'm up at 5:47.
Cold shower.
Yeah,
I'm at show by 6:10. I've gotten into drinking coffee. I never used to drink coffee, but I now.
You must be further from shul now, because you used to get up at 5:56.
Yeah.
So if you do the math, you're 9 minutes. You're 9 minutes further away from wherever it is that you go.
So I drink a couple of coffee, study a little Rambam, study Daf Yomi, David Shacharit, usually home by about 8 a.m. And then I eat breakfast, read the newspapers.
Okay, now breakfast, of course, is like almonds and bananas and milk.
It's oats with almond milk and bananas and grapes.
Yeah. Okay.
And then by about around 8:45 or so, I usually lie down, do active rest. It's an Alexander Technique exercise. I do that for about 20 minutes, and sometimes I'll listen to a motivational talk while I'm doing it, or a guided imagery talk. And then from about 9:15, 9:30 until noon, I'm blogging. I'm trying to drum up Alexander business. Then I usually take about 30 minutes for lunch. I'll cruise online. I'll eat my oatmeal raw this time.
That's living dangerously there.
Yeah, I like to change it up. And then I like to get in at least an hour of walking pretty much every afternoon. So, and I'll even intersperse some running. And today I played basketball for the first time in 6 or 8 years.
I'm surprised you did that. You know why?
Why?
Because you have to play with your hands, and the ball hits your hands, and it could break. And you're a rider.
Exactly. No, seriously.
And it could break your hands.
Yeah.
No, I remember talking to this guy, and I said, "Hey, I came to him one day, and I said, "Hey, there's a big event. There's like a singles event happening, and there's a softball game, and I guess it's co-ed or whatever, and they're having like a big softball get-together singles thing, So, Luke, why don't you go to this thing? You have fun. There's a barbecue. There's softball, you can play, you can meet the chicks, whatever. And he's like, no, I can't do that because my hands will get broken. I won't be able to type anymore. And I make my parnassus, so I can't do softball.
Yeah, that's why I didn't play basketball. I thought it was reckless.
And I was thinking, right away, I said to myself, okay, here's a chance to meet women. Get himself out there, and he's got an excuse with his hands. I'm thinking he doesn't want to break his hands because he wants to be able to jerk himself off with those hands. And so therefore, don't meet women, stay home, jack off, play it safe. That's what I'm thinking to myself the whole time he's telling me that. And was I way off base there?
Yeah, way off.
Okay, I'm way off base. Okay, so then I'm on the wrong track here completely. By the way, we have two women in the room now because you got Garden Fun. That's Ellen, right? Mm-hmm. So you got two women in the room, and the Lakewood Rob's going to do his best to chase them both off. Keep going. No, I actually Talmud 123 is going to chase them off, talking about his he keeps his hands away from his pee-pee so that he doesn't create demons. Did he say?
So in the afternoon I do more blogging. I like to listen to Dennis Prager's radio show. Maybe I'll blog some highlights. And maybe I'll make some videos where I'll just talk about some of my top blog posts for the past few days and make videos out of them, upload them, label them. And then I usually cook beans in the evening, and so it takes about 2 hours to cook them to get them prepared. So about 2:30 or 3 o'clock I'll start the beans going.
Eat beans!
And so they're ready by about 5 p.m. And then I like to take a long leisurely hour for dinner. Watch a movie or something, maybe a short walk after dinner, and then more blogging. And I usually run out of steam by about 8 p.m., 8:30, and I'm usually in bed by 9 p.m.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
That's why you kicked me out promptly at 9.
Yeah.
You used to say you used to go to bed by 11 or something.
Yeah, when I don't get up early to go to synagogue, then I start.
So now we're back into the synagogus.
Yeah. Because as soon as my daily Alexander training finished, I said I've got to go back to synagogue every day. I need that human contact.
Okay, so now I'm kicked out at 9, and that's why you just go to bed right then.
Yeah.
You're in bed at 9.
Yeah.
You live in the life of the Seventh-day Adventist routine again.
Yeah.
When Levi goes into his I need to be holy again, he remembers, what do I do as a Christian? Okay, go to bed early, wake up early, work 8 hours a day.
I get down on my knees before when I get in bed.
Go back to the whole Protestant work ethic.
And I say, dear
early
Lord,
to bed, early to rise.
I've been such a sinner today. I have denied your grace, haven't accepted your love into my heart, haven't reflected your love to your fellow creatures. I want to work on my relationship with you, O Lord, my Savior, my Redeemer. And so that's my day. And occasionally I'll get blogging ideas at night, and I'll get up and blog. But then I won't be able to sleep because my mind will be activated. But
Youngstown has not left. Faith is still in the room.
So that's my day. How about yours?
So that's your day.
Yeah.
That's your day in a nutshell.
Yeah, I think I've got my food bill down to about $3 or $4 a day.
You can eat on $3 to $4 a day.
I think so. Maybe I'm.
How do you
afford?
Then you have more money for contraceptives.
I'm not having sex.
I just see Luke testifying in front of Congress.
Yeah, I only eat beans and oats so that I can have enough money for extra strength, lubricated spermicidal condoms, ribbed. Okay, so tell me about your average day.
My average day.
What time do you get up, typically?
When my neshama returns to my soul.
Which is when?
It's up to God. See, I'm not a machine. I'm not tied to a clock, a human instrument. My soul comes back when God feels it's the appropriate time. Today he felt.
Well, I never get an email from you at 6:30 a.m. or even 7:30, so I'd say you're up, by around 8.
Today God felt that my neshama was ready around 10.
Okay, so 8, 9, 10 a.m. That's when you get up.
Yeah, I would say in that area.
Yeah.
Depends when I went to bed the night before. Because I was saving lives the night before or something. I may have been.
If you get up at 10, can you put on your tefillin then?
Why not?
Oh, I thought there was like a limit. No, that's right, because you can do it at mincha if you miss.
Well, you got all for the bottom. You should try to get all your davening done lichachila before chatzos. Well, not lichachila before.
Is lichachila the ideal?
Ideal is try to get everything done. Well, there's
is that what lichachila means?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should try to do it like before Zman Krishma, Zman Shacharis. There's like, if you miss this one. Yeah. But the bottom line is you should always try to do everything before Chatzos, which is like 1 o'clock, right?
Okay.
Middle of the day.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so you get up. Okay. So take me through.
So, I mean, I do my coffee thing. Whereas you do, what is it, like almonds?
I like various herbal teas.
Herbal teas?
Yeah.
So I would say I do coffee.
Okay.
I do coffee. I get my coffee in the morning, and I get up and I do my coffee, and I get myself awake. What's so funny?
God fun, great job interview question. Will getting here at 9 a.m. be a problem? Answer, well, depends on when God will give me back my neshama.
So that's what happens. So in the morning, I get up and I do my coffee and I check to see what I've missed since I went to bed.
Have there been any new YouTube videos uploaded?
No, I usually check my email and stuff and see what people are, what they need for, stuff like that. I check my Facebook, I check my email and stuff, and I want to see what did I miss? People have thrown questions at me, and what kind of day is it going to be?
Yeah.
Usually, I just want to catch. I don't respond to anything. I just read and see what the day is, and I check my schedules, and I see what I got to do today. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then I've developed some sort of strategy. How am I going to attack this day? Right? How am I going to schedule all the different things that people want me for?
What do people want you for?
There's all different things. People ask me all kinds of questions. Halacha questions, shalas,
really?
Come to me with their problems and whatever.
No way, really?
Yeah, this goes on a daily basis.
Really?
It's been going on for years.
What kind of people come to you with aside from people on Facebook?
I get emails thrown at me. I get Facebook. That's one way they reach me, and the emails the other. Those are like the two basic receptacles, repositories or whatever for people and their questions. You might be surprised that some of the people who are in the chat room right now actually have sent questions to me, both on email and at Facebook, and yeah. You'd be surprised.
I should treat you with more respect.
You should. You send me an occasional question too, but they're usually of a personal nature, like, what are you doing?
I only ask you one personal question a year.
Okay, you're entitled to that. Okay, but some of the people who are in the chat room right now have actually sent me questions on the side. And
nobody sends me lucky questions, and it's a good thing.
Right, and for instance, one of the people in the chat room the other day sent me a question, and they wanted to know. I thought it was a good question. Why do we call it a mincha gedola and mincha ketana?
Okay.
Do you know the answer to that?
Mincha big and mincha small.
Mincha big and mincha small.
No, I don't.
The big mincha and the small mincha.
No, I don't.
Do you know what those are?
No.
Okay, you want me to discuss it? So somebody sent me that question. They just were curious, I guess, why we call it that. So I'll share the answer. We have a thing in halacha, and it talks about when you should daven mincha, right? When you should pray afternoon services.
Yeah.
And normally we say that you should try to do it close to sundown as possible, before sundown starts, but as close to it as possible. And it gives the Torah gives the suggestion that you should try at mincha katana. So what's mincha katana? So it says that it's the 9.5 hour mark of the day. Do you know what that means? The 9.5 hour mark of the day.
9.5 hours from sunrise.
Right, but is it exactly 9.5 hours, or if?
No, it's 9.5 portions of 24.
Of 24. But hang on. Let's be more specific. 9.5 portions of 12 when we divide the daylight day into 12.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, like during the winter, like at the shortest, like, when it's like you have little bit of that daylight. So the hours are very short, right? There's going to be 12 hours, very small hours, because from, let's say, 6 o'clock until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you may only have 10 hours of daylight, right?
Yeah.
Or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But during the summer, well, let's say the sun comes up at 5 or something, and then it goes down at 8, so you may have 7 and 8, you may have 15 hours. So the hours are going to be very long.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
You understand that?
Yeah.
Okay, so when we say 9.5 hours, what do we mean? We mean 9.5 portions, like you say, of the 12, of the daylight time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you divide that into 12 equal portions, and 9.5 of them going forward is when we say is mincha katana. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's what we call the little mincha. What's mincha gadola?
The big mincha.
The big mincha. What is that?
I don't know.
That's a 6.5 hour mark. So if you divided the day into half, right? Chatzos, half the day is always the 6 hour mark.
Mm-hmm.
And it depends how big the day is, but it's always like the halfway point. Right? 6.5 is always going to be a half hour after that. In a half hour of, depending how big the day is. So don't say really a half hour, but half of one portion after Chatzos.
Does the Torah have any problem with daylight saving?
No, it doesn't have. That's a Narishkeit.
Okay.
Doesn't mean anything. Okay, so you still following this?
Yeah.
Okay, so what the Torah says, B'diavad, you can daven mincha, like...
Okay, and B'diavad means...
In the event that it happened, but it's not
in the
l'chafila.
event. Yeah, l'chafila is the ideal.
Ideal will is from 9.5 hours up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But you can, if 6.5 hours during the day is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so wait like a half hour after, or whatever it is, half of a portion after, half of a halachic hour, if you will, after Chatzos, half the day, you can start davening mincha, right? But l'chachila, you should wait till the 9.5 hour mark. Now, why is it called the big mincha and the little mincha?
I don't know.
Why is it called big mincha and the little mincha? And the answer is because what's mincha? Mincha is the afternoon offerings. It's based on the afternoon offerings when we had the Beis Hamikdash, when we had the temple, the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you still interested? Because you're going to know something now. You're going to learn something. You're going to be able to give it over tomorrow when you talk to the people at synagogue in the morning.
Okay.
At 5:47, you're going to be getting up and preparing to say this to these people because you know something now.
Okay.
You're going to own this. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay. When they had like the minimum amount of stuff to offer every day in the Beis Hamikdash, right? They had like a little bit of offering, like the little offering, which would be like the mincha katana, means the little offering. So they didn't have much to do. So if you started at the 9.5 hour mark, very close to sundown, you could get all that stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So that's all the time you needed.
Okay, great.
Okay? What's mincha gadola for?
I don't know.
Let's say you had a lot of stuff to offer that day.
Oh, yeah.
You had like a lot of appointments lined up that day. You got to start them. What's the earliest I can start to get all this stuff done by sundown? That's called mincha gadola.
Okay, great.
So you have to. Okay, I bored you to death.
You did great. So what was that thing? You had something that you wanted to say.
So I'm saying this is what my day is. My day is usually built around helping people, answering questions and whatnot, right? Praying that they hit
visiting the old ladies.
Praying that they reminding them to hit my PayPal when I'm done answering the question, right? Because you should pay for the answers. You're paying someone's further knowledge, right?
Right.
So you should cough up the ante.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's basically my day, and then of course I had to talk to my girlfriend for a couple hours on Skype and do all my OCD stuff. Got to make my lists, and I got to do my rituals, right? Very ritual oriented, right? Do my shopping, errands, chores around the house. That's my life.
Okay. You were going to talk about something?
Well, you wanted to know, so that's my life.
I know, but you're going to...
Because I bored you to death.
You
really regret the fact that you brought up this segment.
Yeah, I do.
Because the Lakewood Rob is sleeping.
Did you have anything else you wanted to say tonight?
Well, I was going to talk about something. I wanted to talk about, first of all, how was your perm?
It was okay.
Did you go to a party?
No.
You didn't go to a party?
No.
Why didn't you go to wherever it is that you daven?
I went to shul.
But don't they have a party there?
We read the Megillah. And
they didn't have a party.
We read the Megillah.
Well, you answer the damn question. Did they, yes or no, have a...
Maybe they did. That's all. So what were you going to say? How was your perm?
My perm's all right. I did a show. You never watch my solo shows.
No.
Because you don't want to learn Torah. You just want to talk about sex.
Like a couple of hours of Rabbi Rabs a week, you know.
I'm good with it.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, here's what I want to talk about.
Yeah.
You asked, like, what's my typical day? But there's always other things I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to talk about this since the last time I saw you, which was like 2 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
So something happened that I wanted to just share and get your take on it.
Okay.
Maybe get the viewers' take on it too. Maybe somebody in the chat room.
Okay.
I want to take. A couple of weeks ago, I was here, and we haven't met since, right?
Right.
So a lot of things I do during that time, right? One of the things I did was and I'm not going to mention any names.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't even ask.
No, I don't.
We don't go there. But like, if there's somebody in the chat room says, I'm not going to confirm or deny anything.
Yeah.
So just don't even go there with names.
Okay.
But I made a delivery for somebody with my car.
Okay. Drugs?
No.
Okay.
It was legit.
Okay.
Okay? It was food.
Okay.
I delivered food.
Okay.
Okay? Right? I was like the food delivery guy.
Okay, did you get tipped?
That's what I want to discuss.
Okay.
How did you know to go there?
I don't know.
Here's the situation, folks. I'm not going to give you like who and for what or whatever. But I made a food delivery, right? I didn't prepare the food.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a cook or anything like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a food store. But I delivered food for, a store or whatever it was. I delivered $1,000 worth of food.
Okay.
In my car.
Okay.
My car, my gas, right?
Yeah.
My wear and tear on my car that may have just hit the 200,000 mile mark. I don't know. I'm just saying it might have. And I schlepped. Why is Malachi not in the room?
Can you just get to the point?
I delivered it, right?
Yeah.
A round trip, about 50 miles.
Okay.
I went out to the ends of the earth.
Okay.
And I delivered. This wasn't like down the street.
Okay.
Okay?
And the tip was?
And I delivered it to a rabbi representing the Jewish faith.
Oh, good.
What do you think would be an appropriate tip on $1,000 worth of food? Knowing that the guy was driving 50 miles round trip.
$50.
$50? What does the chat room say?
He gave you $10? Rabbi gave you $10.
What makes you say 10?
It just felt right.
10 is correct.
Yeah.
Here is your tip. Faith Garden Fund says, Ellen says 40, Faith says 100. I'm thinking exactly the same way. When I took this job, I'm assuming that they're at least going to give me $100.
How much did you get paid for the job, aside from the tip?
How much I got paid on the job?
Yeah.
$30.
Oh man, that was a bad deal for you.
Oh my God, it was a terrible deal. It was a terrible deal for me.
It's a terrible deal.
Because it barely pays for my car.
Right,
Forget my time. Forget the fact that I'm stuck in traffic for an hour.
Did the Rebbitzin offer you an inappropriate sexual exchange?
How did you know that was coming?
I've seen movies.
Oh, for her, she gets the...
Yeah. So did the...
So I just want to complain.
Okay.
Here is a firm rabbi.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Who just ordered $1,000 worth of food for his congregation, if you will. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe 70. How many people do you think that feeds? I don't know.
Okay.
A big thing.
Mm-hmm.
The guy shows up, from guy, and you give him $10. Is that appropriate?
It's sad.
Well, then I just wanted to get that off my chest, folks.
Okay.
Do you think that's appropriate? What would you call that? He's supposed to be the rabbi, the big leader of his...
Yeah, on the other hand, it's inappropriate for you. It sucks for you. On the other hand, it's a rabbi for his congregation. You know, okay.
Why are you struggling with it?
Well, I understand a rabbi for his congregation. It's holy work. It's not like a
because you want to use him as one of your clients. You don't want to sell anybody down a road.
It sucks for you, but it's a rabbi for his congregation. It's a different category than a big party.
And Lakewood Rob hit it on the nose. I actually agree with him. He says, when will you learn it never pays to do business with Jews? And that's the lesson I took out of it. It's like, here's a reminder, right? Like I always say, don't work with Jews. It's so much better to always work with the Goyim. Never work with Jews, right? I've been through that. I can say, always tell you that. And then this comes along as a, it's like, I got like a little bit of a job opportunity. And I'm going to be working with Jews, right? Right. So like, here's a, chance for me to like start from scratch again, maybe I'll form a new.
Because I've looked into getting jobs driving and delivering stuff.
Okay. If you deliver, here's a tip. It's going to be more than any tip you're going to get, okay?
Yeah.
Don't deliver to a Jew.
Yeah.
You can work for a Jew, but make sure to deliver to a Goyim.
Yeah.
Right? You can work for a Goyim, right? But just say to the Goyim, I don't deliver to Jews. Right?
Yeah.
Because what the hell was that about? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, it was a reminder. It was like God saying, you know what? Bad idea. Don't do that. Stick with, the Torah talks and getting money from the Goyim.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the Goyim are sending us the money, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the way to go, because working and expecting money from the Jews is like, it's like tearing their lifeblood out of them.
So I just had this new insight into morality that I learned that's kind of extrapolated from Alexander technique. So sometimes when you were talking tonight, I was feeling impatient. I wanted to hurry. You wanted to get to the point of the story. I felt a little bit rushed. Which is not normal for me.
No, you know what it was? It was like the carrot and the stick. Here's that one. Like, hey, I want to do a new segment, and I want to hear about everything you have to say. Oh, you're starting to talk already? I'm bored. Don't ask me, and don't go send me down that street.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
I know I'm right.
Now, our normal.
There's a couple of things in the chat room I just wanted to share real quickly.
Yeah.
Talmud123 said, there was this guy who wanted to pay me $10 to be a ticket taker at a 6-hour party. $10, 6 hours. Do the math, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that. And then, of course, your friend Lakewood Rob said that 2 Jews try to hire him for free.
So, I've been learning about morality, and the default position is we're patient, because when we're impatient...
By the way, the chat room's very chick-heavy tonight. Did you notice that? We got 3 chicks and 2 guys. Mm-hmm. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So, patience is basically the absence of impatience. As long as you don't have, these impatient tendencies like I had tonight,
right?
You're okay with reality. Because when you're impatient, you're saying, what's going on in the real world is not happening as quickly as what my mental construct says it should happen. So therefore, I try to force reality to match up with my mental construct. But when you accept reality as it is
what it is.
You're patient. Same with frustration. When you accept reality as what it is, like I've been working hard to build up my Alexander practice, I've had very little success.
Because you haven't been living in reality.
Because I have not been living in reality.
Boom.
So when I get frustrated, it's because I'm not living in reality. When I get frustrated, I'm saying, but I did this, and this, how come I don't have students? So then I'm trying to impose what's going on in my head, my mental constructs, my beliefs, my ideas, on reality. And when reality doesn't match what's going on in my head, I say what's going on in my head is the right thing, and reality is wrong. So then I get frustrated, I get impatient. And another example of this is honesty and dishonesty. When we're dishonest, it's because we either want to not lose something that's precious to us, or we don't want to endure something that we would regard as intolerable. So when we're okay with reality, we're basically honest. But when we're not okay with reality, when something's going on that we want to deny, we're saying our mental construct about what should be is more important than reality, and now I'm going to work to ensure that not just me, but all those that I come in contact with in this matter accept my mental construct of what reality should be. So in all these examples, all these moral flaws of impatience, frustration, getting deep into frustration, and dishonesty, it's all examples of being willing to live in reality. Being willing to live in what's really going on, but instead insisting, hey, what's going on in my head is more important than reality. And whenever you insist that what's going on in your head is more important than reality, you're inevitably going to compress and tighten up. So I just started to think about, when you think about devious people who like constantly lie and deceive and cheat people, you rarely think about them as having, great posture, great use, being very tall. And no, it goes together, because when you cheat, lie, and steal, you can't do that without compressing, pulling down, and tensing. Because when you say something that's dishonest, you're going to have fear going through you that you get caught, and you're also going to have to make a bunch of complex calculations how you can get away with this dishonesty. And doing those two things is going to make you compress and tighten. So
hold that thought. I got to go to the restroom.
Great. So, folks, the more you can live in reality.
Actually, you can keep going.
Yeah, the more you can live in reality and accept what's going on without trying to lie about it, without trying to force reality to live in line with your ideas or mental constructs, the less tension you'll have, the less compression you'll have, the less you'll pull down. Because think about when you're thinking. When you're in thinking mode as opposed to being in awareness mode. When you start thinking, you inevitably start compressing and tightening. Now, it's okay to think, but most of the time you're better off just being in awareness. So awareness is hearing all the sounds around you, taking in everything in front of you, behind you, just being aware of everything. And so that's living in awareness. Now, thinking is a different state. That's when you kind of lose contact with reality, what's going on right now, and start going, now I'm going to compute things in my head and live in this imaginary world in my head and carry on these imaginary conversations. And wouldn't it be great if I had this sort of liaison, or wouldn't it be great if I was able to get so-and-so to, give me money, or whatever the things that you people think about. So, yeah, the Lakewood Rav advised, get yourself Asian clients, pitch to Asians, stop trying to pitch to the Jews. So yes, Luke, you're carrying on an imaginary conversation right now. Well, it's not imaginary because I have you good people in the chat room. So, Emma wants Libera playing at our wedding. I love Libera. I'm not sure the rabbis would approve of Libera, but it is my favorite boy band. So, folks, you've only got me. It's just me. This is your opportunity to ask the moral leader. Any question that you have, bring it on right now.
All right. Is anybody left?
Yep, they're all there.
Okay.
So, I'm going to get to the Pasha.
Oh, we're at the Parashat. Wow.
Unless you have something that...
No, that's fine.
So we've got two Torah portions this week, Vayakhel and Pekudei. And they're not
Pekudei?
How do you pronounce that one?
Pekudei.
Pekudei.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm
Pekudei.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. So these are not thrilling Torah portions. To be honest, I didn't even read them because they're so boring. Yeah.
Rabbi Miller talks about that.
Yeah.
And he says, he says you occasionally stumble upon people who read this, and a grubba mensch. You know what a grubba mensch is?
No.
He'll go, God, this is so boring. A grubba mensch is like a unrefined individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
A slob.
So, Faith wants to know what's up with my blog and the yoga videos. Well, I've been thinking of a new way to promote my Alexander Technique practice. I just take everything that Alexander Technique is great for, go to YouTube, put that term into the YouTube search engine, and then critique whatever the top results are, and show how Alexander Technique, has something to say. So I went to YouTube and I put in posture, and I critique like the top 10 most viewed posture videos.
Okay.
And then I've gone to YouTube and put in yoga and critique like the top 10 yoga videos. So that's what's been going on with my blog. Feel free to ask a more specific question, Faith. But Emma wants to know, is it Rabbi Rabs or Rab? It's
Rabbi Rabs.
No, it's not Rabbi Rob. Okay. The Torah often reads to me like it was written by an accountant. In my experience, accountants have been among the most ethical people I know because they're precise and exact, and it's hard to be a good person if you're sloppy. Like, I'm sloppy. I'm not such a good person.
You're grubba mensch.
Exactly, I'm a grubby mensch. Not so much a mensch, more grubby. Now, Torah is all about attention to detail, and they have attention to detail. Accountants are accountable. Accountants are discrete. They get to hear all about someone's life, and they keep it to themselves. And a lot of Jews are accountants. It sounds like an incredibly boring profession to me. I could never be an accountant, but these Torah portions kind of read like they were written by an accountant.
Can I comment?
Yeah.
They were written by God.
Yeah.
Are you saying that God's an accountant?
Yeah.
That's actually quite profound, and I'll tell you why. It says that God is an accountant, and He keeps everything written in a book. And He keeps a cheshbon. You know what a cheshbon is? It's
an accounting.
An accounting of everybody, right? So all your deeds are written in this book, and He keeps track on everybody. And the business about how detail-oriented it is, well, it says that everything that we are is a reflection of what God is. And we know that Jews are very detail-oriented, and it's very OCD.
Right.
We're really we fixate on the dumbest, most minutia, just the craziest minutia stuff. And you see arguments in the Talmud about it's like the marginal cases, who cares, right? And that's how God is. God is very OCD. We got that from Him. He gave that to us. God is OCD, and it's all details. And if you look in the creation of the universe, you'll see it too, because He created all these stars in the sky, and all these things on Earth, and these cells, and these neurons, and the protons, and everything is so detailed. You study the anatomy, and I'm sure you're fascinated with how detailed
I should have been actually flunked anatomy. I just kind of slacked through it.
Okay,
I don't really know my anatomy.
All these Latin words, just for the cell. Did you ever get the anatomy of the cell?
Yeah, we did. I kind of passed out. I wasn't able to stay awake.
And then the spine, how each spine. What do they call those? Each spinal column?
Yeah, kind of the lumbar spine and the cervical spine.
And all this stuff, yeah.
So the Chinese, however, they'll eat anything, according to our chat room. And
they'll eat anything?
Anything. So Jews, they won't eat anything if they're observant Jews. They're very careful. And they eat kosher.
Okay.
Rabbi Wein writes, accountability is the name of the game in Jewish life. The Torah teaches that a person is always liable and responsible for one's actions and behavior. So you can't just say, oh, I'm a sex addict, I'm not responsible.
What's happening with that, by the way?
Well, I haven't been to a meeting for many months because I'm not driving an unnecessary mile these days. So, but I mean,
Well, you're the guy who said that you like to walk for an hour, did you not?
Yeah, but I guess I could walk. It's maybe
Haha, I pay attention to what he said.
You do listen to me. I'm sorry. It's like it's been years since I've had sex. So
I'm not offering you that. I'm just listening to you.
And I haven't looked at porn in like over a year.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that have changed in the last year.
Really?
Yeah. You wouldn't believe what they're doing.
What are they doing these days?
You wouldn't believe what they're doing. You got to really keep up with it. That's why I always pop into that Luke4.com, see what's going on. I like to keep on top of that stuff. But you could walk to...
I guess I could. It's maybe 3 miles. There's a meeting about 3 miles away.
You talked about at great length last time I was here about how you walked to Westwood and back.
Oh, yeah.
But you had a ride. It wasn't...
No, I was offered a ride, but I didn't take it.
Oh, you didn't take the ride?
Yeah. So that was like
so
a 9-mile walk.
I bet you passed 5 meetings on your way up there.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to go to this event in Culver City. It's a 2.5-mile walk. So I've got a choice. I can walk. It's at 6:30 p.m. on a Wednesday night, so I've got to walk rush hour.
Where is it?
On Culver Boulevard in Culver City. It's 2.5 miles away. So I've got a choice. I can either walk down La Cienega and suck in all the fumes.
What is it, like Sony Pictures or something?
Around there. So I can walk down La Cienega in Venice Boulevard. It's like, suck in all those rush hour fumes as I walk. Or I could cut through the...
Schwarzville?
Yeah. I could cut through the inner city. So which would be more dangerous? Sucking in the fumes?
Well, we'll leave that as a question to the viewers.
Yeah, I'll leave that as a question for the viewers. Should I cut through So Faith says that the yoga videos I posted are kind of raunchy. Well, I just wanted to use them as examples of videos that didn't really convey much information, but really just led to, there's this one video that, every time she was doing yoga in a red bikini, and she was doing a lot of downward dog, and, the video was, right behind her, she was walking away, and I was thinking, every time she wiggled her butt, it was like an assault on the fabric of the nuclear family and Western civilization. And so I wanted to make that point on my blog.
It's an Eastern philosophy that they're...
Yeah, it's a form of idolatry. And also I'm starting this new series on my blogs where I'm looking at the Alexander technique of great men in history. So I started with Adolf Hitler. Or not so much great men, but important men in history. So I kind of I took one of his speeches from Triumph of the Will, the Leni Riefenstahl 1935 Nazi propaganda documentary. And I kind of analyzed Adolf Hitler's use, what his tension patterns were and why he was able to be such a good orator. And then I contrasted that with that famous clip from the 2004 movie Downfall where he's in the bunker and he just starts raging and going off.
That's not him.
No, but
that's an actor.
Yeah, but I
you can't learn anything.
I did look at the actor and you see.
Stop. That's an actor.
Yeah, I know, but he's playing Hitler.
Doesn't matter. You can't learn anything from that. That's not him.
But so you see when he gets angry, his head kind of retracts into his torso because you can't really fully experience anger unless you kind of compress and pull down and in. And so you see that with Hitler in that 2004 movie Downfall. So Lakewood Rob wants to know, does Alexander technique reduce one's odds of being a crime victim? Yes, because muggers choose people who are stiff and don't move so well. But if you move freely and you have good use and you're elegant and poised as you walk down dark parts of town, then you're much less likely to be mugged or assaulted. So yeah, Alexander technique is a great
Does Clint Eastwood's character have good use?
I don't remember.
Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, I know, but I need to...
He always he he doesn't walk around with a gun, in his hand.
Yeah.
He just walks and everyone fears him. He walks in all the movies. He just pulls up into the town, and everybody backs off.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, as Lakewood Road pointed out, if I'd been there for Hitler and given him Alexander technique lessons, he would have reached Moscow. But because
that's deep.
He was so distorted.
Deep thinking.
He had so many interfering tension patterns.
That's probably what it is.
And probably if I'd worked with him enough, he probably would have given up his genocidal intent.
Yeah, and he wouldn't have felt the need to even attack Moscow.
Or to wipe out the Jews.
Yeah,
maybe attack Moscow, but not wipe out the Jews.
Right.
And so, many of our genocidal impulses, they come from tensing the neck. So folks,
makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, if you start feeling I want to go commit genocide, I want you to think about your neck and notice if there's any unnecessary tension or compression going on in your neck, because that will probably lead to tension and compression throughout your torso and all these weird interfering tension patterns that can lead to genocide and Holocaust. So if I'd been able to work with Adolf more, freed him up from these genocidal tension compressions, this world would be a completely different place.
Yeah, I can hear it. I don't sense any scam in any of this.
Good. I'm trying to keep things. I want Alexander technique to be respected.
Yeah,
I don't want anyone to make fun of a.
No, I can't imagine. I can't imagine why they would even think like that.
Yeah, I want to make sure if my teachers are watching this that they're proud of me. that I've used my 3 years of education for good use to analyze the important people in the 20th century and.
Right, but I'm thinking Napoleon could have used it a good adjustment because he's always walking around with a damn arm like that. Right. You know about that?
Yeah.
He's
Yeah. So he probably would have hit Moscow as well.
Yeah, I guess there's a tendency when you're stiff necked, you head
to not reach Moscow because you pull down and in rather than expanding into Moscow.
Right.
If you want Alexander lessons, if you want to learn how to expand into Moscow. If you want to learn how to annex the Sudetenland, if you want to be the ruler of all that you see, come to me. We'll work on letting go of your needless tendencies towards genocide, which always starts in the neck. Genocide always starts with tensing and compressing the neck. So we'll learn to let that go. You'll let go of your genocidal intentions, and you'll learn to expand. So you'll get mugged less when you walk down dark parts of town, and. Call me.
All right.
And Emma wants to learn how to expand. So that's what I want to see. The young, they have such a thirst for knowledge. There are many older people, they're I don't really care. My patterns are too ingrained. I'm not interested in learning about expansion and letting go of interfering tension patterns.
Correct.
See, okay. Keep things on a high level here. Torah.
Let's move on.
So Rabbi Wein writes, at the conclusion of reading of this parsha, the congregation this Sabbath rises, proclaims, Hazak, Hazak, Benis Hazek.
Why does it say that? Why?
Let us be strong, let us be strong, let us strengthen others as well.
But why do we say that this week?
Well, part of being strong is a realization of the necessity for being responsible for one's deeds, behaviors, and words.
Why do we say that at all this week? What's happening this week?
Because we do that at the end of every Torah book.
Because we're finishing the book of Shmos.
So after I got tossed from this one synagogue, I did a lot of sniveling on my blog about how much it hurt me.
Which shul was that?
This was Young Israel Century City.
Yik.
2001. And this bloke, I didn't even know, I just knew his screen name. Kept saying to me, be strong. Jews don't respect those who are voluntarily weak and sniveling on their blogs about getting kicked out of shul. And he said that, I look like a weakling. So what does that mean when we say Hazak, Hazak, Benis Hazek? Let us be strong, let us be strong, let us strengthen others.
I don't agree with that.
What does it mean to be strong?
Who's this bloke?
I don't know, I don't remember.
So some anonymous joker on the internet, you treated him like he was the Holy Grail.
He was a good source. He gave me a lot of stories over the years.
But I don't agree with him. I think he's factually incorrect there. I don't think the Jews look at something like that as weak.
Well, the Lakewood Road says Jews don't respect people in need of money from them, especially when they're Jewish.
I agree with that. Because they think like we're taking their life blood out of them.
Yeah. Okay, so not many Torah Jews are emo boys. Do you know what an emo boy is?
Those are the people that were just murdered in Iraq.
Yeah. So emo has been associated with a stereotype that includes being particularly emotional, sensitive, shy, introverted, or angst-ridden. Do I strike you as an emo boy?
What do you mean that not many Torah Jews are emo boys? Who are you? What facts do you have to base that on?
Well,
do you have a study? Do you have some statistics?
I have.
Or you just pull that out of your own?
Don't say the A word.
Your own butt.
I've experienced a lot of Jewish life, and I've seen a lot of
things. So you know for a fact that most Jews, the majority of Jews, more than 50%, are not emo boys.
Yeah, because it's totally contrary to Torah, being like they dress, in a kind and act in an effeminate way. That's not the way we roll.
That's very interesting that you know that.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't aware of that. No one ever brought that statistic to me before.
Yeah. In fact, emo boys only account for 0.05% of Orthodox Jewish men.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You have those numbers?
Yeah, I have those numbers.
Okay, he has these numbers. Good for him.
Yeah. Okay, sports fans. There's a lot of repetition in the final chapters of Exodus. Rabbi Wein writes, one must train oneself to be honest, to resist temptation and shoddiness. I tend to shoddy. Like, you guys notice the sound quality when you come to my cam as opposed to the rabbis? Like, shoddy is my middle name. Resist temptation? Not so much. So goodness and truthfulness are conditioned by habitual behavior more so than by inspired sermons and learned treatises. So I love inspiring sermons and learned treatises, but, habitual behavior, I'm a little more...
I got something to throw on that.
Please.
You said there's a lot of repetition in these final chapters.
Yeah.
Rabbi Victor Miller says an interesting board about that.
Mm-hmm.
God created the heavens and the earth and the entire universe. 25 verses.
Yeah.
The first 25 verses is done.
Mm-hmm.
The entire universe and everything that's in it, and all the details and whatever, 25 verses.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to building the little Mishkan,
Right.
5 parshas in a row we just read.
Right.
We just learned 5 parshas in a row.
Right.
It took 5 full parshas to create this one building, this one little building.
Yeah.
But only 25% we got the whole universe. So we see what God considers important, and what God considers his focus is. His focus, he's so interested, and he doesn't want us to be so interested in what's going on in the universe.
Yeah.
The space and the oceanography and all this Narishkeit, right?
Yeah.
It's like that. That's not for a Jew. A Jew has to focus on what's important. That's the Torah. Torah, the Mishkan, how we build it, that's the Jew stuff. That's stuff that we have that no one else has. The Mishkan is for the from Jew, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Torah is for the from Jew. Let's sit down, let's learn the Torah, right?
Yep.
So you see what's important to God. Yet, what other thing do we also see?
I don't know, tell me.
When the Mishkan is on fire, when a Sefer Torah is on fire,
Mm-hmm.
When your Talmud is on fire on Shabbos, can you save it?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No, not on Shabbos.
Oh.
So if your Talmud is on fire on Shabbos, you can't save it. If your house is on fire, you can't save it. If your Sefer Torah is on fire on Shabbos, you can't save it. If the Mishkan is on fire on Shabbos, you can't save it. Now, let me ask you another question.
Mm-hmm.
If one little Jew is on fire on Shabbos, can you save them?
Yeah.
Yes. You can throw away the whole damn Torah.
Yeah.
You can throw away the whole Torah to save a life, right?
Yeah.
So we see what's important to God. More important than the entire universe is the Torah.
Yeah.
Torah is more important than the whole universe. And yet, one Jew who sits and learns, right? One Jew, one from Jew, he is more or she is more important than all of that. Yeah. More important than Torah. As important as Torah is to God, when Levi sits and learns Torah himself, or when Levi, is doing important things.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's getting up at 4:40. What is it? 5:47.
Yeah.
And he's taking a cold shower and he's on his way to shul, right? And he's doing these important things. Levi is more important than the Torah. And when Levi's flirting with his shiksa online, and Skyping with her after the show, when he said he was going to go to bed at 9, lie. He's once again caught in a lie.
Yeah.
Right?
But I'm not lying. I'm admitting it now.
Yeah. So in other words, you don't have time for me,
right?
But you have you would not stay up past your bedtime for me.
Exactly.
But for a shiksa, you would do it.
She's young. She's hot. She's smart. She's funny. She's articulate. She's got good grammar.
Okay.
So how would a person...
Today is Skype, tomorrow pork sandwiches. What does Talmud 123 have to say about that? I haven't heard from him in a while.
So if someone's got tattoos and they can't cover them all up, what sort of reception should they expect at synagogue? An Orthodox synagogue.
Realistically, you mean?
Yeah.
I would hope, I'm going to tell you the truth, I would hope that Jews wouldn't judge anybody for that. You know what I mean? That Jews should never judge somebody else.
Right.
They shouldn't, they're right?
Yeah.
But I would also expect Jews to give more than a fucking $10 tip.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, we're not once again, it's living in reality rather than in the fantasy. Something like, open up, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's, I don't know. Jews tend to be very judgmental.
Yeah.
They're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
That goes against Torah. Yeah. Torah says you're not supposed to, only God can judge other people. You have to accept everybody with a saber panim. We have to...
Happy face.
Yeah, you have to put on the happy face, and you have to accept everybody openly and graciously.
Even if you
got
PMS.
Right, but the reality being, I don't think it's going to go so well for... I have to tell you something. I remember I had a date and I was set up for my nephew's bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
His bar mitzvah. His
wedding. Yeah.
That woman has she's like a canvas with tattoos all over the place.
The hot soccer coach?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, she's got mega tattoos everywhere.
Really? Even there?
What do you mean? And piercings? No, not really. Not heavy duty piercings, but she's got all the whole tattoo thing going on.
Whoa! Okay.
Right, and she came in to the shul because it was in a shul.
Yeah.
And she had some of them exposed, and I was kind of checking out people to see if they were going to fixate on her on her tattoos.
And what happened?
Well, I think that a lot of the people there were more, because it was my nephew, right?
More modern.
They were more hip.
Yeah.
Because my family exudes hip.
Exactly.
We're very, open and tolerant. So we surround ourselves with people who are more tolerant. Yeah. Right? So I don't think she got those annoying glares and stares. I don't think she got them. But if she walked into your shul, right? Mm-hmm. Or one of the shuls you got kicked out of,
yeah.
I wonder how it would go over. I don't know.
So, realistically, you're going to...
Why do you bring that up?
Because I saw some things in a shul on a Shabbat.
What happened?
Well, I just saw someone who came in who had tattoos in places where you couldn't cover them up. I don't remember. I think maybe here on the wrist.
A guy?
The girl.
What were you doing watching the women's section?
This was after shul. This was schmoozing time.
Oh. And was she getting the annoying stares?
And some people were going, ugh.
Really?
Yeah. She did look troubled, though. So I can...
If that's what they were doing, then shame on them. Shame on them, because you should not judge another Jew like that. If she's a Jew, right? There's no halacha that says you can't have tattoos on you. There's a halacha that you can't put tattoos on you. Right. If she were putting tattoos on her in the middle of shul, then you could go, but she walks in, right?
Yeah.
And she has tattoos from her former life. She's coming to the shul. She wants to do the right thing, and you're going like, hey, you're looking down at her, you know what? God looks down on you. You're the one that we need to look down on. Because you have no tolerance. You never put yourself above other people. Never, never, never. A Jew that puts themselves above another person, who thinks they're above them, is really putting themselves below other people. Right? Because when you look down and you talk down to Jews, here's Talmud 123. When you talk down to Jews and you say things like, oh, you're not holy, oh, your neshama is full of schmutz, right? And you're overcome by demons and all this other crap, right? You're not putting yourself above that Jew and talking down to them, right? You're putting yourself below that Jew because you've now entered the world of you're judging other people. Simple as.
And there are other, I think, like, you try to walk into an Orthodox shul with an Asian or a black girlfriend, and you're frequently not going to get a positive reception. Like, people will immediately be, some people. Other people won't.
I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Walk into into Beth Jacob or Yek with a black girlfriend.
With a black girlfriend?
Yeah. It looks like a non-Jew.
Someone who looks like a non-Jew.
Yeah, and Letitia.
You know what? I have a story on that. I was dating a woman who she's a Jewish woman, but she dyed her hair blonde. Mm-hmm. She was like really, really blonde.
So she looks shiksa-like.
She looks shiksa-like, right? And she wasn't Ashkenaz, she was Sfard. Mm-hmm. So she didn't have that Ashki look.
Yeah.
She didn't look Jewy, right?
Yeah.
So with her Sfard and her blonde hair, she was doing the whole shiksa look, if you will. Okay? Mm-hmm. She claims, but she's also a pathological liar, so I don't know how much truth to this is. But she claims that she got dirty looks when we went out and she felt it was because they looked at her like she was a shiksa.
Like I got a friend who's dating a Japanese woman, and she wants them to make Shabbat, so they're starting to make some type of Shabbat. And he said, so could I, bring her to your synagogue? I said, no, she's not Jewish. Like if you seriously start making steps into an Orthodox conversion program, then yeah. But until then, no, don't bring her. And so that's what I said. I was watching this. I like to watch Frontline because there's a guy who narrates the documentaries. There's just such a great voice. I really like the quality of what they do. So they're online, Frontline, PBS Frontline, and I was watching this hour-long documentary on David Headley, who planned the Mumbai attacks, including the one that killed the Chabad rabbi and his wife in 2009, and 166 people were murdered in Mumbai, India, by these Pakistani Al-Qaeda type terrorists. And what struck me about this guy is that he had multiple wives, and when he would have arguments with them, when they'd fall out, the wives would go to law enforcement and dog him in, say, hey, I think this guy's plotting a terrorist attack or whatever. So the wives were fine sleeping with him, living with him, being his wife, while he was doing all this terror type activity. But when they fell out with him, then they'd go to law enforcement. And it's like many women just have this instinctive sense of how to go for the jugular. One moment you're having sex with this terrorist, but if you fall out with him, if you have a big argument and you get ticked at him, then you go to the FBI. And I had a friend who, when a relationship ended or a liaison ended, she started faxing his work, trying to get him fired. And he ended up leaving the country because it was just I can't deal with this woman anymore. So Alison Armstrong, this relationship expert, says that women hate competition because women get their sense of security from connection, from their relationships. Men like the competition because they get their sense of security from their competence. So men are used to competition and they play by, they're used to playing by the rules. Women don't like competition, but when they're forced to compete, they don't worry about the rules. Some women, obviously not all women, but I thought that was an interesting insight. Did you have
something? People who don't play by the rules frighten me because they're out of control.
Yeah.
I like borders and boundaries.
Yeah, exactly.
And I want people to respect my borders and boundaries.
Yeah, and don't annex your Sudetenland.
My what?
Sudetenland.
I don't know what that is. When somebody comes, and invades my space.
Yeah.
And whether they physically come and invade my space, or they ask me personal questions.
Yeah.
At more than one a year.
Yeah.
I get extremely nervous because they've invaded my territory.
Yeah.
I don't even like answering the question, "What's your daily life like?" Because it's like, hey, I'm going to start getting nervous, and then I start to compress.
Yeah.
Because there may be some things I don't want to talk about.
And you get genocidal impulses too.
The dishonesty thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like I want to be honest, but I don't want to, have to deal with it. But, and then I start thinking I'm going to wipe out Levi, and everybody looks like it.
Exactly. So. Okay, so Emma has sent a video that she wants us to watch together because she thinks that you should.
Well, not now. I'm doing a show.
Huh.
We're doing a show. If you download that thing now, you're not going to have any bandwidth for our show. So you're going to download that after the show is over.
Okay. Exactly. So we will, Emma, we will. So, I got something from the Rebbe.
Oh yeah? He spoke to you from the grave?
So, this week's Torah portion, the Rebbe explains that the Torah wants to emphasize that there will always be two versions of God's home on earth. There's the ideal version as God envisions it and describes it to Moses in the Torah, and the real version as it is actually built in and out of our physical lives. So Judaism has these two streams constantly running through it. One stream's called Lichatchila, what's ideal, and the other stream's called B'diavad.
Very nicely said.
Which is, the reality. So, did you have something?
No, I'm good.
I want to get this.
I beg you, if you do that, you're going to kill your bandwidth.
Really?
Wait till you're done with the show. How much connection do you think you have enough for this going up and that coming down? You want it up and down at the same time?
Well, it's near the end of the show, so it doesn't really matter.
So why can't you just wait? Talk about patience. Didn't we start the show talking about patience?
Yeah, it's about accepting
You want immediate gratification.
Yeah.
You're probably one of those guys that try to force women to have sex with them early on in the relationship.
Is that bad?
It's not a turn on.
No. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find your video and I'm having trouble. So is there anything that you wanted to say?
No. I'm disappointed that you didn't do anything for Purim. I thought that you would go to a party or something.
I went to shul.
And let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Did you go to a Valentine's Day party this year?
No.
Did you go to a what was that one? A kiss?
Oh, Cuddles party.
Cuddles party.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I've turned over a new leaf.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Well, I mean, if there be one available.
Okay. There's like a whole party going on in the next room.
Yeah, we're
It's going to be louder than us when we watch the video.
What the heck? Why won't this play? Okay, sports fan, do you have anything? Here, I'll just check the chat room.
Talman, 123. Luke, sexual morality pushes away your intended zivug.
How can I play this video? It's important to Emma that you watch it. Okay.
No, wait. Ellen said something. I was trying to read what Ellen said. How about above a $10 tipper?
That's when do you think you're above?
Oh, I meant. No, that's a good question. What's the answer to that?
I don't know.
Well, the opposite of that would be, the opposite of that would be like, I'm fine with a $10 tip. Because Torah doesn't want you to be a welcoming mat either.
Right.
It doesn't want you to be, what was that word you called an emo boy?
Yeah.
An emo boy would be like,
oh, that's okay. I'm good with the $10. Never mind that I drove this is a 2-hour round trip. Never mind that I drove 50 miles. Never mind that, I'm poor and I have to subject myself to this. I'm good with it. I'm good with it. Thank you for the $10. That would be like emo boy, right?
Right.
You have to stand up and you have to say, this is ridiculous, right? Because I don't do that. When I go out to eat or whatever, you've been with me.
Yeah.
I give 20%. That's what I give.
Yeah.
That's like what I always give. Unless the service was terrible or something, I always give 20%. Because I said this to you before. I think it's important because especially when I show up, because I'm all Jewy looking and everything, right?
Yeah.
So you want to make it, you don't want to perpetuate the stereotype that Jews are cheap.
Exactly.
Right? And it's a terrible stereotype. But when this rabbi did that, he perpetuates a stereotype. He's like, look, we gave you $10. It's like, come on.
So how do I play? I want to play this file, the MSN, and for some reason I can't get it to go to Windows. How do I open up the file? I downloaded it. How do I open it up?
Why don't you end the show first, and then we'll work on it.
Okay, I'm ending the show. Good night, folks. But Emma, you can still watch, because Emma, you want to see this. So, here.